Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach wa Malak Bashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, zealous and diligent and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai for another midnight lesson, 2026 AD, Horrifying Days of Lot. Shalom, Don Israel to me, Nigel Blends, Yvette McKellar, Sweet Styles, Kyoko Banyumyan, Yeshayahu, P. Branch, Brother Azariah Shalom King, Hoshaya 144K, HBK Lit, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Again, 2026 AD, the horrifying days of Lot. We're going to dive right into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Like we always kick off, man, most high willing, brothers are watching. Most high willing brothers see the judgments that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is putting on the earth, right? Most high willing brothers have seen the Venezuela earthquake that's been going on, right? Or that happened, rather. And the tribe of Asher and a lot of other tribes that live there are being directly affected. They're saying that the death toll is passing over 900, right? The death toll is passing over 900. At least 900 are dead. These are live updates, and the death toll is rising by the hour. As more information comes out, as more unraveling goes on, and they're digging through the rubble, they're getting this head count, and you're finding out that more and more of these saints out here are dead. They're saying at least 25,000 are missing. There's not a lot of rescue parties. There's not a lot of people looking. So they're taking these matters into their own hands. And the death toll, they're saying, is over 900 in Venezuela as rescuers race to find quake victims. And this is Bible prophecy, right? This is Bible prophecy. Every year or so, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai literally shakes the earth up. And it's a sign of judgment, right, on the earth. And I want to get that real quick. I'm going to dive into the lesson, but it'll be off if we didn't talk about the judgments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai and talk of his wonderful works and speak about what the Most High does, man. See, remember the Lord said, let me get this first. And Psalm 66, right? This is Psalm chapter 66 and verse 5. Come and see the works of the Most High. He is terrible in his doing toward the children of men. So in order to see the works of the Most High, you have to watch. You have to pay attention. You have to be circumspect. You have to be aware, right? You have to have your mind locked into the judgments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You can't fulfill this precept if your mind is too occupied in the world, or you're too into a woman, or you're too into your job, or you're too into the flesh. You have to step outside of that and look at what the Most High is doing in the earth. Come and see the works of the Most High. He is terrible in his doing toward the children of men. So 900 dead, that's a sign of judgment. Let me get this in second Esdras real quick. I'm going to dive into the lesson. But again, I have to touch on this because it is the work of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Not only is it just the work of the Most High, or not only is it a work of the Most High, it's a sign that we're in the end of the world, the last days. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse number 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we touch on this precept many times, twice told 1,000-fold, about measuring the times, about looking at the current events that Yahweh Ba'ashmi Shah is doing in the earth and tying it directly to what you see in the Bible. And as you see particular prophecies come to pass, you're looking on the earth and you're seeing what prophecies are going to unfold next. So you're tying in what the Most High is doing on the earth, and you're tying that directly into the prophecies. And you're seeing, okay, this prophecy happened. Okay, this one's going to happen next. Okay, well, we're this close to this prophecy. So that's measuring the times based off of Yahweh Shah's work in the land of the living, right? And the Most High said, as you measure those times, you're going to begin to see that the Most High is visiting the world which he made. How was the Most High visiting the world? Let me get a quick precept. He said he will begin to visit the world which he made. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. So you're going to be visited by the Most High by his judgment. He's going to use the angels to work on the elements to afflict man in the land of the living. That's what the Most High is doing. He's working through the angels to disrupt the level of comfortability on the earth, man. It cause earthquakes and wildfires and destruction and war on the earth. This is how the Most High visits man. The Most High doesn't visit men of the world with handshakes and with salutes, man. The Most High said, even in Isaiah, the 47th chapter, I will not meet thee as a man. So the Lord don't visit man the way that you think that he should visit man. He's telling you in Isaiah 29 and 6 how he visits man. Back in 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and 2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So you're living in the end of the world. You're living in the last days. You're living in the time of massive judgment in the earth, and Yahweh Shah is coming quickly, man. This earthquake in Venezuela, and there are other earthquakes, but this is a major earthquake, a major judgment from Yahweh, Ba'ashmi Shai, on the earth. And that death toll is going to rise, right? That death toll is going to rise. Now let's dive into it. 2026 AD, the horrifying days of Lot. First, let's go to 2nd Ezra 5. I want to get this, right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra 5, and I want to read verse number 42, right? It reads, and he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So the Most High's judgment comes in full circle, right? Yahweh Ba'ashmi Shai deals with cycles. He deals with the repetition. And his judgments that he does 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, it's going to come back all over again, right? So we're going to touch on certain things that happened well over 4,000 years ago, but they're relevant today because we're going to show again, even today, how those things are going to affect the earth and impact those in the last days, right? And his judgment happens day by day, week by week, month by month, and it's very cyclical, right? A ring is a circle. So the Most High deals with cycles of judgment and repetition of judgment, right? So let's go to Luke, the 17th chapter. Slakia. Let's go to Luke. Boy, bear with me. Luke chapter 17. All right, we're going to read Luke chapter 17, and we're going to read verse number 28. Right? Luke chapter 17 and 28. A lot of times you'll hear even people of the world say these are the days of Noah, right? These are the days of Noah. Nobody believed Noah before it rained. Even we talk about that, but we're going to talk about the days of Lot, right? The days of Lot. So this is Luke chapter 17 and verse number 28. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. So that's heavy right there, because the Most High is giving you the spirit of what was going on then is the exact same spirit of what's going on now. See, in the days of Lot, they were full of mirth, revelry, freakism, drunkenness. You had commerce, you had enterprise, you had cities being built, you had all those things going on in the days of Lot, and that's what's going on now. They're building data centers, they're building a new world order, right? They're selling their soul, they're selling Federal Reserve notes, they're selling all types of digital currency, they're planting, you understand, philosophies and doctrines and actual planting. The people are eating. There's concerts and UFC fights on the White House lawn. These are the exact same days that Lot went through, right? These are the same days that Lot went through. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. I want to open up another blue letter. We're going to dive into a little more of what Lot had to go through. This Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and the Most High requireth that which is past. So again, everything is going to repeat itself on the earth. Empires, kingdoms, individuals, their behavior, their demeanor, right? Their motives, their spirits are all going to go back on the earth over and over and over again. Now, who is Lot, right? Who is Lot? Let's see when we tap on this. We go into the blue letter and see who they break down who Lot is. Okay, Lot, they say veil or covering. We'll qualify that. The son of Haran and nephew to Abraham, right? And that is true. He is the son of Haran and nephew to Abraham. This is a quick genealogy, which brothers should be familiar with to a degree, right? You want to be able to at least pinpoint, Terah, Abraham. You get to a level you can break down Adam on down, Adam and Seth and Enos and Cain and Mahalalel and Jared. You go into Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Arphaxad, etc. Right? You want to know who your fathers are, right? Your fathers ain't just Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You want to know who your fathers are, even beyond that and after that. So as you look at this genealogy, you see Terah, who's the father of Abraham. Remember, Abraham had two brothers, right? He had Nahor and he had Haran. Haran is this Haran's son is Lot. And out of Lot came Moab, which is the forefather of the so-called Chinese man. And also out of Lot came Ammon, who is the forefather of your modern day so-called Japanese man. And if we have time, we'll touch on that as well. Now, let's go to Genesis chapter 11, right? Since we're reading about the days of Lot, there may be brothers that may not know exactly who Lot is and, what he has to do with future prophecy, because these are the 2026 days of Lot, days of judgment, days of revelry, days of freakism, wickedness. and also the days of deliverance. This is Genesis chapter 11, and let's start at verse number 26. And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And we did a lesson, I believe, about 2 weeks ago where we discussed the Abrahamic apocalypse. We talked about the prophecies that Abraham's promises entail. And we went into how Abraham came out of Ur of the Chaldees, and he was familiar with the wickedness that was there, right? The rebellion, the moon worship, the idolatry, right? All of those same spirits of witchcraft and sorcery Abraham was familiar with. Lot was also familiar with that. Lot was there with Abraham. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no child, right? Remember, Sarah didn't have her first son till late in her old age. Okay? You read about that in Genesis, the 18th chapter, where the Most High told them that she would have a son. Genesis 11 and 31. And Terah begot, Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came into Haran and dwelt there. So Abram was essentially adopted, if you will. Terah became a father to the fatherless, which is the law, and he took on Lot. And then in due time, Abram, who separated from Terah, Lot actually went with him. Okay, Lot actually went with him through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemyahushua. Let's go to Genesis the 13th chapter. Let's follow up. This is history, right? Brothers have to know this history as well. We're going to go into prophecy. We're going to go into history. We're going to go into current events, but this is imperative for us to know. This is Genesis chapter 13 and verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. So Lot followed Abraham. Lot was a righteous brother, right? You'll hear a lot of people who say a lot of things about Lot because they don't understand the ancient world. They don't understand Semitic customs. They may not understand how important hospitality is. They may not understand the mindset of an ancient man, you know? So despite what people say, Lot's latter end is he's deemed as righteous. And he went with Abram, right? Genesis chapter 13 and 2. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, which he made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh. So Abram knew about the name of the Most High, Yahweh. That's another reason why Abram was cast out of Ur of the Chaldees. He was being persecuted, right? That was in the book of Judith, the 5th chapter. It tells you that Abram was persecuted and cast out of Ur the Chaldees. Let me get that real quick again for brothers that may be new. They may not be familiar with that, right? Quick precept. Judith chapter 5 and 6. This people are descended of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. So we clearly see that Abraham, or Abram at this time, knew about the name of Yahweh in Genesis the 13th chapter. But he already knew that when they were living in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Lot made a decision and said, you know what? We're not going to follow the gods of the Chaldeans. We're going to follow Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. And that's why they actually left Ur the Chaldees. It wasn't just some random call in the night, oh, Abraham, oh, Abraham. And Abraham said, here I am. No, they rebelled against the ancient world order at that time. And they rebelled in righteousness against apostasy, idolatry, and evil. Let's read that in the next verse. Judith chapter 5 and 8. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshiped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. So they had to flee because they were being persecuted. I'm led to believe they wanted to kill them. And when they wanted to kill Terah, they wanted to kill especially Abraham, and they wanted to kill Lot. So they had to flee, and they were cast out, and they were being persecuted. So Lot and Abraham, they were very close from the very beginning. Now, let me pull up a journey of Abraham's pilgrimage, right? Let's do this. Abraham's journey, right? Because Genesis chapter 13 covers that. Okay. Here's Abram's journey. Ur the Chaldees to Haran, all the way down to Egypt, all the way up to the land of Canaan. Okay. All the way up into the land of Canaan. Let's see if we can do Genesis 13. See if they give us this. Okay, let's see. Yep. Right, so we see, and it's dark green for brothers that can see this. Let me see if I can make this a little bit larger for brothers. Okay, this is fine right here. All right. So Abram started in Ur the Chaldees, came up in the land of Mesopotamia, Haran, came into Egypt, right? Then he settled in Hebron and he took his journey, right? He took his journey here. This is what we're reading about in Genesis, the 13th chapter. Okay, so we have to know a little bit of geography as well. And we always tell brothers, man, whenever you're looking up, you're reading about a place in the Bible, and you might not be familiar with it, look it up. The Most High said, be not ignorant in anything in a great matter or a small. Jerusalem is not the only place in the Bible. Rome is not the only place in the Bible. Babylon is not the only place. So, you brothers take that extra step and extra effort to look up these places, showcase some understanding so you can have a better grasp about what was happening in the ancient times. Okay? So let's go back to this. Genesis chapter 13 and verse 3. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. Right? You see Bethel and Hai right here. It's where Abraham was. All right. Let's go back. Genesis chapter 13 and 4. Unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so they could not dwell together. Right? It was too much. They had too many servants. They had too many cattle. When you have so much cattle, you got to have your own land. You have to have your own water supply. You have to have your own provender. You have to have your own everything. So these are like two kings dwelling together. They were wealthy, extremely wealthy. Genesis chapter 13 and 7. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled in the land. And what was the strife from? Resources. Because you need water, you need grass, They need to survive off of the resources of the land. So they were strifing on who's going to get the resources. But they didn't act how the so-called white man acts. The so-called white man, when it's a strife amongst resources, they will bomb you. They will steal your children. You know, they'll indoctrinate you, man. They'll poison your food. They'll kill your leader, set up a puppet king. Let's see how Abraham and Lot settled this, man. And it shows that we're superior and we have more understanding than the so-called white men in all these other nations. Because how we handle strife biblically is how it should be handled. Look at how the so-called white man handles strife, man. He'll kill millions of his own people. Millions. In cold blood due to a lack of resources. Genesis chapter 13. So you so-called white man, you don't believe in the Most High. You don't read these scriptures, man. You greedy, you a demon, and you're not going to make it. Genesis chapter 13 and 8. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. That's how a brother's supposed to handle it, man. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no strife. Me and you, we brothers. Think about how these other nations handle conflict and look at true conflict resolution. Abraham said, look, I don't want no problems. You don't want any problems. You know, we're brothers. We shouldn't be striving over carnal things, over anything. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. So Abraham deferred. Because he gave Lot the first choice, because Abraham believed, or at this time, Abram in the Hebrew is Abba Ram, right? Abba meaning father, Ram meaning exalted or high. So he's the exalted father because he's the father that the Most High is dealing with out of the lineage of the sons of God through Shem and Arphaxad and Salah, etc. That chosen lineage rested on Abraham. So Abraham said, look, wherever the Most High takes me, he's going to be there for me. So you can go wherever you want to go. That's fine. I'm going to trust in the Most High anyway. So Abraham had a beautiful spirit. Genesis 13 and 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. So Abraham saw this Lot saw this beautiful plain, and it looked like the Garden of Eden. Think about that. This region that he decided to go to, it looked like the Garden of Eden. Genesis chapter 13 and 11. Then Lot chose from all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent toward Sodom. So now we got a problem. Abraham is in the land that the Most High promised him. Lot, he pitched his tent toward Sodom. When you pull the map back up, remember they're between Bethel and Ai. Lot journeyed east towards the Dead Sea. And you see where Sodom and Gomorrah are. Now, the Most High said that he pitched his tent towards Sodom. Now, Sodom was one city, but there were actually 5 cities full of for tonight's lesson, I'm gonna say sodomy, right? I'm gonna just say sodomy. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. Now, let's pull this up in the book of Judith. It was actually 5 cities that were wicked. Sodom and Gomorrah, they get the rep. Those are the main ones, but there were 3 other cities as well. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse number 6. When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man, who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities. So the fire, there were actually 5 cities that Yahweh Bahashai was against. And wisdom delivered Lot. And we'll touch on that as time to come. But I wanted to make that point because some people think it's just 2 cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's actually 5 cities. And we'll touch on those 5 cities in time to come. Now, back to this. Lot pitched his tent towards Sodom because it was well watered and it was as the garden of the Lord. See, sometimes a lesson to be taken from here is things that may seem pleasing, they may seem like an opportunity for success. It may seem like that situation is going to pan out for you and it's well watered and everything's going to be okay. But everything that looks good is not good. Just because his land is well watered and it looks like the Garden of Eden does not mean anything, because you had Sodomites that dwelt in his land. Whether Lot was aware of it or not. All right, let me get that in 2 Corinthians. A lot of brothers make decisions just based off of eyes, but you don't get counsel from the Most High. You don't have any discernment. And the Lord said, no marvel. He said, no marvel. Why? This 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse number 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. So sometimes things, it could be a woman, it could be a person. Like I said, it could be a woman, it can be a job, it can be a house, it can be a land. You might think, I want to move over here. Everything looks good. You know, it's a nice neighborhood. The house is nice. But it might be something going on in that area that you might not be keen to, but you just going off of the eye test. The eye test is not the end all be all, right? That might be a sign of a covetous man who just goes and yearns and possesses things just based off of what he saw. But he never got counsel from the Most High. Lot didn't get counsel from the Most High. There's no account of that. He just saw what the eye saw. See, now the Most High said that the eye weepeth upon every occasion. So you brothers be mindful of that, man. Be mindful of things that look good, that they're not always good, right? They're not always good, right? I want, was that 31? Bear with me. Let me get that precept. I believe that's 31. All right, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 31. I'll read 12 and 13. If thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it. See, that's that eye, man. Wow, look at all that meat. Look at this feast. Then you dive into it, and you eating everything, man, and you getting sick because you ate too much. You know, you covetous. You know, you vomiting everywhere. You embarrassed yourself. You got a heartburn, indigestion, because your mind not right. Verse 13. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye. Therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. So whatever you see, you're going to want. And everything you want ain't good for you. And we're going to find out that where Lot decided to go, it looked good. Something might look like the Garden of Eden. It might look beautiful, but that might not be the move for you. Let me get another quick precept in Sirach 5. All right, Ecclesiasticus chapter 5. That's why it's always good to pray to Yahweh Bahashai before you make any move. You know, and if you feel like you waited too late and you made the move already, still get counsel from Yahweh Bahashai. You know, it's never too late. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 1. Set not thy heart upon thy goods, and say not, I have enough for my life. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. Yeah, you don't want to follow your own mind because your mind is off. We all know the precept, or brothers may learn it tonight, Jeremiah 17 and 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You don't want to follow your own mind. Brothers make rash decisions all the time and you regret it. People have something called buyer's remorse. Well, you might buy a house, you might buy a car, you might buy a flat screen TV, you might purchase something just to find out that that something that you bought was not what you wanted, right? That's an actual term, right? Buyer's remorse is the sense, and a lot of people buy stuff out of passion, out of excitement, out of the moment. Buyer's remorse is the sense of regret, anxiety, or guilt that occurs after making a purchase. It typically happens when the post-purchase excitement wears off, meaning that demon, or after that demon wears off, and it's replaced by doubts over cost, utility, and whether the item aligns with your long-term goals. So you got spirits on you, right? Put spirits on you. So brothers, again, brothers, be mindful of the decisions that you make, right? Let's go to Sirach chapter 32. And Lot would have saved himself a world of trouble. Now, it's all of Yahweh Shah anyway, but these things have to be spoken against. Sirach 31 and verse number 19. Do nothing without advice. When thou hast once done, repent not. So once you make that decision, make up your mind. After you get that advice, you do it, stick with it. Don't be double-minded after you got the advice. Take the advice, do it, and if you did it in wisdom, it's going to work out for you. Before you make any major purchase, any major action you take in life, get counsel. Go not in the way wherein thou mayest fall, and stumble not among the stones. Be not confident in a plain way. So this region that Lot decided to go to, we're going to see if it benefited Lot. Although it looked like the garden of the Lord, doesn't mean too much. Okay, let's go back to this. Genesis chapter 13 and verse 12. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent toward Sodom. Right? So he's flirting with disaster. He's flirting with temptation. And man is likened unto a tent. Right? The Most High likens our earthly tabernacles, or our bodies rather, to earthly tabernacles or tents. So wherever you pitch your tents to, that's what your spirit is going to be into. Right? Let me get that in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Right? And you know, we've covered this before, but it's like a brother who wanted to move into an apartment, but the apartment is next to a strip club. Or the apartment is next to a brothel. Right? Or it's next to a damn weed dispensary. And then a liquor store. You're asking for trouble. You're asking to go to hell off. That is not wise. You, brother, you've been overcoming weed for the last 3 years. You just became sober. You just repented. You've been struggling with pornography, illicit lewd sex, and fornication. And you said, bro, I'm going to move in this spot. And it's next to a damn strip club. And brother, you're pitching your tents towards confusion. The Most High said, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? You know, so you make your bed, you got to lie in it. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. Just to show that your body is also likened unto a tent. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, and a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. So your earthly house is likened to a tabernacle, which is a tent. And what the Most High saying was, once this body breaks down, this body decomposes, this body goes back to the dust, you have another house. You have a spiritual body that your spirit resides in the third heaven. Right? 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and 2. For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven. You have a heavenly house, you have an earthly house. You have a heavenly body, you have a spiritual body. Or you have a heavenly body, you have a terrestrial body. Or you have a natural body, you have a spiritual body. You have an earthly house, you have a spiritual house. If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up in life. So your spirit dwells inside this tabernacle, right? This tabernacle is your body. A tabernacle is a temporary residence. It is not permanent. These bodies are not permanent. These bodies are indeed temporal. They're here for a moment of time till Yahweh changes them. Back in Genesis 13, be mindful of where you pitch your tent. You could pitch your tent towards wisdom. You could pitch your tent towards the Most High. You can pitch your tents towards understanding. Do not pitch your tents towards sin. Let me get one more precept. That made me think of this quick precept I believe I want in Ecclesiasticus. Right, let me get this real quick. Bear with me through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. Right, this is, let's see. I want to get this precept. Maybe Sirach 4. If not, I'll just have to find it. Right, but it's going to tie directly in to what I want to go into. Right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. Let me just get it, right, for sake of time. Right, and it ties directly in. It's really the opposite of what Lot was into, man. The spirit that Lot had. Yeah, Sirach 14. Salaki, let me get that real quick. Not 4:14. Right, this Ecclesiasticus, chapter 14, and verse number 22. Go after her as one that traceth, and lie in wait in her ways. So stalk wisdom, follow wisdom. Okay? Be there when wisdom is going to be there. Whenever she comes out, you should already be there. That's lying in wait. He that prieth in at her windows shall hearken at her doors. He that doth lodge near her house shall also fasten a pin in her walls. You see that? So if you kick it near her house, she's going to eventually invite you in. That's what the Most High is saying. Right? You get your Bible, you read, and eventually the Most High is going to open up your mind to understand wisdom. Here's the point. He shall pitch his tent nigh unto her, and shall lodge in a lodging where good things are. So what does it mean to pitch your tent? It means to direct your spirit towards something. If you direct your spirit and your body towards wisdom, you're going to lodge in a lodging where good things are. You're going to live in this truth. To lodge means to live. The good things are the precepts and the wisdom. So direct your spirit towards wisdom, and she'll invite you into this word, and you'll begin to understand this truth on a higher level. Pitch your tent towards her. Do not pitch your tent towards Sodom, like Lot did in Genesis chapter 13 and verse 12. Right, let's read on. Genesis chapter 13 and 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And what made them wicked? We'll touch on that. Right? Most of you brothers, you already know. You got a lot of new brothers. They may not know, right? They might not know what the men of Sodom did. And we're going to touch on that. Now, let's go to the book of Genesis, the 14th chapter. Right? What happened when Lot lived in Sodom? This is Genesis chapter 14 and 1. And again, these are the days of Lot too, not just because of the Sodom and Gomorrah and the destruction, but just like what we read. The days of Lot also talk about the spirit that Lot had. You know, brothers not getting counsel. You want to make sure that you're doing things in discretion. You know, these are the days where people put themselves in situations where they fall. You know, They put themselves in a situation where they tempt themselves. They're getting tempted by Satan. That's also about the days of Lot. Temptation was heavy in the days of Lot. Heavy, heavy temptation by Satan. And Satan ran rampant through ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. So much so where, well, we'll read about it. This is Genesis chapter 14 and 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these men made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeber, king of Zobarim, the king of Bela, which is Zoar. Now these are the 5 cities: Sodom, Gomorrah, that's 2, Admah is 3, Zeboim is 4, and Zoar is 5. Those are the 5 cities. Each one of those cities that I read about in Wisdom of Solomon 10, each one of them had their own king. And this was a battle between 4 kings and the 5. Now let's see what happened. Genesis chapter 14 and verse 10. This is the first major world war. This was an ancient, massive war. 5 kings against 4 kings. That's like America, Russia, France, and England against Italy, Japan, Germany, and Austria, like World War II. Major battle. Genesis chapter 14 and 10. And the vale of Sodom was full of slime pits, and the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Right? These kings fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. So hold on now. In Genesis, the 13th chapter, Lot pitched his tent toward Sodom. Somehow in the 14th chapter, he's living in Sodom. Well, how did that happen? Let's go to James chapter 1. Remember, we read that he pitched his tent toward Sodom. Let's go to James, the 1st chapter. That's what happened when you flirting with disaster. That's a saying, man. Right? Flirting with disaster. Right? Let's get that. Flirting with disaster means intentionally or recklessly engaging in a risky behavior that increases your chances of a negative outcome, failure, or ruin. See, if Lot would have stayed in the plane, he would have been all right. But he flirted with disaster. Now he's in Sodom. Now he got taken captive. That's what happens to brothers, and it's truth. You put yourself in a situation where you fall and you get taken captive. You may not get taken captive by 5 kings, but you get taken captive by 5 demons. So Lot's physical life is what brothers go through on a spiritual side. Right? Let's prove that. These are the days of Lot, not just for destruction, but also for temptation. James chapter 1 and verse number 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. And Lot should have stayed on the outside. He should have endured that temptation. He should have fought that good fight. He should have never pitched his tent toward Sodom. Verse number 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. So you can't blame God for your flesh wanting to do something evil. Don't put that on the Lord. That's you that want that. The Most High don't have a fleshly body. You have to take responsibility for your wicked desires that you want. James 1 and 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. And that's what happened to Lot. He was drawn away. And now he went from living outside of Sodom, now he's inside of Sodom. You pitch it like we read about wisdom. You pitch your tent towards wisdom, you're going to live with her. It's only a matter of time. I mean, it's obvious. It's only a matter of time. You pitch your tents towards wickedness, it's only a matter of time before Satan invites you in. Keep hanging around, man. These demons. Keep playing around with the Lord. You going to these clubs, man. You got brothers going to this. You got you hanging around a brothel. You playing with disaster. You tempting the Most High. Then the Most High going to give you over to that. Let me get this in Deuteronomy 16, right? Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 16. Ye shall not tempt Yahweh Ba'ashmah your God, as ye tempted him in Massah. Stop tempting the Most High. Have some discipline. Stop putting yourself in situations where you know you're going to fall. All right? And then you end up, like we read, Lot ended up getting taken captive. This never would have happened. Let's get this in 2 Timothy. Again, that happens on a spiritual level, right? 2 Timothy, the second chapter. 2 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse number 26. And that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. So brothers put themselves in situations in his truth. They get tempted. They end up going the hell off, and they get taken captive by Satan. You get bound up by these demons and oppressed by these demons. Now these demons have rulership over you. Look at what happened to Lot on the physical, and it happens to brothers on the spiritual. The Most High is teaching you something about Lot's life, and brothers should pay attention. Let's go to Romans, the 6th chapter. Right? Let's go to Romans chapter 6. This is Romans chapter 6 and verse number 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. What does that mean? Let's read this again. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey. So whatever you submit yourself to, that becomes your master, and you become the slave. If you yield yourself as a servant to the Most High, you begin to obey the Most High. You begin to repent. You begin to pray. You begin to fast. You begin to keep the commandments. You begin to be obedient. If you yield yourself unto Satan, Satan becomes your master, and you obey him. And you sin, and you go off until the day that you die. So you can't serve two masters. Right? Let's get that in Matthew, the 6th chapter, the classic. Right? You cannot serve two masters. St. Matthew chapter 6 and 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve the Most High and mammon. Right? You can't yield yourself to the Most High. Okay, but I want to yield myself unto Satan. I want to be and then again, you could be a captive of the Most High, or you could be a captive of Satan. And we're prisoners and captives of the Most High. Right? Let me get that. And that's fine with us. Right? I want Philemon. Okay, this Philemon chapter 1 and verse 1. Paul, a prisoner of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, and Timothy, our brother, unto Philemon, our dearly beloved and fellow laborer. So what did Paul call himself? A prisoner of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Well, yes, we are taken captive by Yahweh Bashmi Shai, and we love it. We love every second of it. We love the suffering. We love the affliction. We love the joy. We love the law. We love Yahweh Shai. We love the sacrifice, and we can't do what we want to do. We are bound as slaves and servants to Yahweh Shai. That's on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, again, you're a prisoner to Satan. Lot got taken captive, not by Satan per se. He got taken carnally, whereas some brothers get taken spiritually. All right, let me get that in Sirach 33. All right, the Lord said what? This Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33, and verse number, 15. Salakia. Sirach 33 and 15. Right, Ecclesiasticus 33 and 15. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. So what happened again to Lot physically is what can happen to anybody spiritually. Going back to this, Genesis chapter 14 and 12. So Lot was taken captive, and let's see what happened. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but there's something I want to touch on. Genesis chapter 14 and 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the land in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, the brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. Hold on, how come Abraham didn't say, well, the hell with Lot? That's his problem. He should have known better. He shouldn't have put himself in that situation. He should never been in Sodom. He should have went this way. He shouldn't have been covetous. He shouldn't have had that mind. No. See, Abraham's not like the regular Negro. Abraham knew things that we know of today. He heard his brother was taken captive. He wanted to restore his brother. All right. Let me get that in Galatians chapter 6. So be like Abram when your brother falls. Right? It's a time and season for everything. Galatians chapter 6 and 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, yea, which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Hamashiach. Right? So you see that? So again, carnally, Abraham heard his brother was taken captive, but he didn't spend 50 minutes trying to figure out and cause blame and say, well, he shouldn't have been there. And, what the hell is Lot's problem? Your father would be displeased at you. I ain't my problem. That's you. No. Abraham knew about the spirit of Galatians 6 and 1. Likewise with us. You might have a brother that falls victim to a sin. Is it time to beat that brother down, or is it time to build that brother up? Is it time to free that brother from that demon that has him captive? Or is it time to spend 50 minutes just charging him? It might be time to get that brother, man, and deliver him from the demon that's holding him captive. Be like Abram, not just in faith, but also in deeds. All right, let's go to Romans 15. Right? Romans chapter 15 and verse number 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves. So if you're a brother, you have the ability and the strength and the experience and the faith to be able to deliver a weaker brother from a sin that he fell on or something he's struggling with, you ought to do that. Right? You ought not to please yourself. This truth is not about an individual. This truth is about the elect. It's about a nation of people. So you brothers that are strong, that have experience, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, lift up the brothers and support the brothers that may not be able to do it themselves. Romans chapter 15 and 2. And it's the mind that Abram had when he heard his brother was taken captive by carnal men. This is the mind that you have to have when your brother's taken captive by spiritual demons. Romans chapter 15 and 2. Let every one of us please his neighbor for good to edification. Here's the point. For even Hamashiach pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. So whatever fell on Yahushai's brother, it fell on Yahushai himself. He counted it as his problem. Whatever his brother's problem was, that now became Yahushai's problem. And clearly we see why Abraham and Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai are friends. Abraham's called the friend of God. The Most High said, all flesh consorteth to his kind. So they had the same spirit. And a man will cleave to his like. Yahweh freed us from captivity. Abraham freed Lot from captivity. Genesis chapter 14 and verse number 15. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And brothers have to do that against the demons, man. Right? Take the brothers, man, this is spiritual nighttime, and smite these spirits, man, with the word of God. Chase them out of here, man. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. So there was a successful mission. Bring your brother captive from the demons that he deals with, rather to lust, slothfulness, pride, covetousness, rage, anger, doubt, right? Whatever it is, bring your brother captive or bring him back from captivity. Have the mind that Abram had through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. So Lot got brought back and he was delivered. Now let's see what else happened. Let's go to Genesis, the 19th chapter. Right? More about Lot. Let's read, let's dive deeper into this man, Lot. And 2026, the days of Lot. Genesis chapter 19 and 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them and bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Now, there's something wrong with this right here. Well, brother, I don't get it. What do you mean what's wrong? He bowed himself to the angels of God. You know, he saw them and he rose up and, well, hold on. You know what the problem is? You brothers that have a spiritual mind, you'll see what the problem is in Genesis 19:01. And this is the problem that brothers go through in this truth. So what happened to Lot? Let's go back and rewind. Lot saw the plain of Jordan and it looked like the Garden of Eden, right? Then he pitched his tent towards Sodom. Then he ended up living in Sodom. Then he got taken captive while he was in Sodom. He got released from captivity. And where did he find himself at? Where did he decide to go? After he got delivered from captivity, he went right back to Sodom. He didn't just go back to Sodom. He was sitting in the gate of Sodom, which implies that not only did he just go back to Sodom, he became a man of renown, because the men that sat in the gate were men of authority, right? Were men of prestige. And that's what happens to brothers in this truth, man. Brothers go into temptation. You fall victim to your sin. Your brother helps you out of sin, and you go right back to where the hell you got taken captive from. I'm going to tell you something, man. See, the Lord said, a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. If I got taken captive, man, if I'm in my house right now, right, and I got taken captive and all hell broke loose, or our spirits, hey, I'm not coming back. You don't always go back. Sometimes you got to leave. You got to separate. You gotta repent. Don't go back to your vomit. Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. And brothers don't do that, man. Your brother spent all this time. Abraham went out of his way to deliver you from Sodom. You had no business being there anyway. You know they was wicked, and you went back anyway. That's a problem. And brothers will go out of great lengths. They'll fast with you. They'll drive miles. They'll pull up on you. They'll pray with you. They'll be on the phone all night with you, helping you out, give you counsel, give you advice, free you from that demon, and you'll go right back to it. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5. Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. So a wise man can discern when he's being judged by God, when God is judging the earth, and the time that the Most High is doing either, right? So you want to have some discernment. You want to have some type of wisdom. You don't put yourself in a situation where you fell again. That's why we read that precept, go not in a way where thou mayest fall, right? So Lot also sat in the gate. Again, sitting in the gate was a position in the ancient world where men were able to judge matters. All right, let's type that in. What happened? Let's see what happened in the gates in Bible times, right? Let's see what they say. In Bible times, city gates were the bustling civic centers of ancient communities, acting as a combination of town hall, Supreme Court, marketplace, and public square. Because they were fortified and easily defensible, the open courtyards within the double gate systems served as the central hub of daily life. So if you're in the gates, you're deep in it. Lot was deep in the civic life of Sodom and Gomorrah. He wasn't into what they was into. He knew they were wicked, but he was still there. Right? What else happened? And the gates. City elders and judges sat at the gates to hear disputes, settle lawsuits, and enforce the law. All right? Let's go to Zechariah 8. Let's prove that. You had judgment that took place in the gates. Zechariah chapter 8 and verse number 16. These are the things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor, execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. So the gates, again, like we've been going into, were major spots of judgment and civic enterprise and business. So Lot sitting at the gate is not, it's not good. Especially if you were taken captive, man. And your brother had to deliver you. And now you're right back, Slocky, you're right back there all over again. Now, here's another thing. Well, why did these two angels even come to Sodom? Right? Well, let's go to Genesis, the 18th chapter. We're not going to read this entire chapter, but we got to get the background on why these angels, right, even showed up. This is Genesis chapter 18 and verse number 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. Now, this is Yahushua and 2 angels. This is the Lord himself and 2 death angels that he came with. And they came on a 2-phase mission. Phase 1 was to relay a message of life unto Abraham. Phase 2 was to relay a message of death to Lot. They provided a just balance while they dwelt in the land of the living. The message of life was to say, okay, Abraham, you're going to have a son. The message of death is in the 19th chapter, where those same two angels, see, Yahushua wasn't there at that point. He was back in the third heaven. Those two angels are the ones that came to Lot, and they brought the message of destruction. So let's read a little bit more about this, right? Genesis chapter 18 and 3. And said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. So Abraham knew that these were the angels of the Most High, right? He said, don't go anywhere, right? Don't pass away from your servant. I'm going to take care of you. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. Man, that's beautiful. This is how brothers are supposed to treat strangers. Now, let's get that in Hebrews real quick. I want to make a quick point. This is Hebrews chapter 13 and 1. Let brotherly love continue. Now, the highest love or the highest understanding of brotherly love is knowing that what you do to the least of your brother, you do it to Yahushua. Yahushua taught us that in a parable in Matthew, the 25th chapter. He said, when saw ye me a hungered? When saw ye me unclothed or naked? When saw ye me in prison or sick and visited me? You can go back and read that. Yahushua said, what you do to the least of these, you do it unto me. So that's the highest level of brotherly love, understanding, knowing that how you treat your brother is how you would treat Yahushua. So letting brotherly love continue, it's not just hugs and drinking beer and wine. Letting brotherly love continue and spreading forth the knowledge and the actions of you treating your brother like you would Yahushua. Verse number 2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And there are times, man, where this is real. You might have dealt with an angel. I know a lot of brothers in this truth who felt like strangers that they may have talked to may have been angels. Rather, somebody they saw, out and about at the bank, the bus stop. Maybe they thought it was a poor homeless man. Maybe somebody just came to them and showed them things about themselves that there's no way that they would know it. They said certain things that was on your mind that whole day. There's no way they would know that. They gave you comfort about things you may have been struggling with. There's no way they would know the problems you were dealing with. How could they? So kind of based off of those spiritual encounters, I know a lot of brothers and sisters who felt like they've actually had encounters with these angels, So you might be dealing with a brother, man. You got to deal with that brother in wisdom. That could be an angel right there. Now, that's the spirit that Abraham had. Abraham said what in Genesis 18 and 4? Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. Do that for a stranger. This precept also applies to you teachers. Well, brother, how does that apply to me as a teacher? Brother, it applies to you. Our people are called strangers. Our people that don't know the name of the Lord. They don't know their nationality. They do not know their heritage. Those are strangers. And you're supposed to fulfill Genesis 18 and 4 with them every time. You give them water, you wash their feet, and you rest them under the tree. The water's the word of God. Washing their feet, Yahushua taught us that in John the 13th chapter. You cleanse them from the things that defile them as they walk in the filth of the world. You teach them repentance, right? You teach them salvation. You show them judgment. You go into prophecy, and you allow them to rest under the tree. The tree is Yahushua. Under the shade, so they're no longer afflicted by the sun and afflicted by these judgments. Let me get one quick precept on that. Do what Abraham did. That's what he's showing you. Let's get that in Song of Solomon, chapter 2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and 3. As the apple tree among the trees of, so like, let me read it again. As the apple tree among the trees of the wood, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So you want all your brothers to rest under that tree, under the shadow of Yahweh Shemashah, and eat of the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding. That's the top tree. And be under that shade. Give them a little bit of water, wash their feet, have them rest under Yahweh Shemashah on a spiritual level. This is spiritual as well. The Most High said that, oh, that he would show thee that the secrets of wisdom are double to that which is. Let's read on. Genesis 18 and 5. And I will fetch a, so there's a lot in the days of Lot. Like I said, there's a lot to cover in the days of Lot. Genesis chapter 18 and 5. And I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. So we also gave them bread and comforted their hearts. Our brothers they got problems in their life, man. They destitute. They have no hope. They have no answers. Comfort their hearts with the precepts. Give them that bread. That's why he said, Abraham said, for therefore are ye come to your servant. So man's goings are the Lord. The Lord will bring men to you for you to take care of them. Now I want to jump down. This is Genesis chapter 18 and verse number 16. It's after he relayed the message about Abraham having a son. Genesis chapter 18 and 16. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. So they're about to go to Sodom. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Meaning Abraham was about to be told about the destruction coming on the earth. And a lot of you brothers, man, the Most High, he doesn't hide things from you. He tells you what he's going to do. He told you he's going to destroy Babylon the Great. He's not hiding the fact that the chariots are coming to beam us up. He's not hiding the fact that the so-called white man's going into slavery. He's not hiding particular breakdowns from you. So this also applies to the elect. Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? So if the Most High revealed things unto you, that's a great sign right there that you're moving in the footsteps of Abraham, because things have not been hid from you. It's contingent upon your works, though. Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. So the Most High knows the spirit that Abraham was going to be in. So he's going to reveal things unto him. It's contingent on your pattern of behavior. Okay. Verse number 20. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done according to the cry of it, which has come unto me, and if not, I will know. So who was crying out? Lot was actually crying out. And Lot was crying out so much about the evil that he experienced, it got word out to the Most High. Right? Let me get that in 2 Peter chapter 2. So your cries are not in vain. Keep crying out to the Most High about the evil that you see. You don't have to just bottle that up. Cast your burdens on the Lord, man. He shall sustain you. The Most High wants you to cry out to him. In ancient Egypt, when we were being oppressed, it says the Lord heard our groaning And the Lord had respect unto us. The Most High said in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, set a mark upon all the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So keep crying, keep sighing, keep complaining to the Most High about the injustice done on the earth. We see the effect of it. The Lord also said, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. In James 5:16, no doubt. This 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 6. And turning the cities, Slakia, of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. So if you live your life like the men of Sodom and Gomorrah lived, as men that was with men, then you're going to get the same judgment that they got. So America's proud. They know exactly what happened in ancient Sodom. They've sent archaeologists to uncover the dirt and see the high levels of sulfuric acid out there. They've dug up artifacts. They just held the parade, Dead Sea Pride Festival. Look at this. Right, this happened what, earlier this month, if I'm not mistaken, like 2 weeks ago. They went to actual Sodom and Gomorrah in that region, and they held the largest festival. This is utter blasphemy. And guess who did it? The people that claim to be the people of the Most High. Amalek. But ain't nobody gonna say nothing. We get all these people that come against us. You black Hebrew Israelites are racist. You so and so. You're this. You're that. You hate people. Well, no, they're not going to say nothing against this right here, man. Where's the public outrage? Where's the public outcry against Amalek, who claims to be the people of the Most High, who got the land in 1948 or so? Now they have the largest sodomy festival in the entire Middle East. Make it make sense. Look at this. Making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. And we know it's Amalek, man. Who else? Let me get this in Jude. I'm going to go back to that, but let me get this in Jude real quick. Right? These supposed to be the people of the Lord. Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Elijah and Moses and Noah. This is the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. And it's not eternal. It's not literally on fire. It's just hyperbolic talk of destruction. But they went after strange flesh. Men with men, working that which is unseemly. It's an example. It's an example. Now, you had these guys, man. Let me pull this up because I got to get on Amalek. I pulled this up before. You got this doctor. The doctor name, this is an Amalekite doctor. The people responsible, and I covered this on another cold cut, but they took the cold cut down. But I'm going to talk about it again. It got me not really giving a damn. Right? Now, this doctor, I'm gonna be a little bit more choice with my words, but this is a sodomite doctor, a sexologist. Where's that at in the scriptures? Where did the Most High say that the true men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai can be a sexologist? What law is that? I challenge anybody to find a precept where you could be a sexologist. But this is Amalek for you, man. If you want to know where this stuff came from, the alphabet community, and why it's so rampant, you know it started with Amalek. They pushed that. It started with their sexologist, Dr. Magnus. Look at it. He advocated for the sodomy community, but the Germans destroyed his work. See that? The Germans destroyed his work. And all praises to Yahweh Shah, man. That they destroyed his nasty, filthy work. See, a lot of them Germans in World War II, they was burning books. Right? When you look up how, let me pull this up. Right? Let me pull this up. This guy in Germany in 1933, they were burning books, the Germans. What books were they burning? They were burning, when you dive deep into this history, they were burning all of the books of sodomy, transformers, and freakism that Amalek was pushing in Germany. And they said enough is enough, man. They had actual libraries dedicated to freakism. So they said, we're not going for that. There was an area in Germany. Let me see if I can pull this up. Weimar. That's why it's important to go to this history. Weimar Republic. Right? The Weimar Republic. Look at this. What was cultural life in the Weimar Republic? The Weimar Republic was essentially an area that was in Germany, but Amalek was really heavy in that area. Amalek, who claimed to be the people of the Lord, they had this area, and this area is full of sodomy, women selling their body for money, freakism, porgies, corn. I'm just throwing these terms out there. I gotta, you gotta, be wise as a serpent. Look at this. Hold on. These are Amalekites. Esther that's supposed to be Esther and Sarah and Judith. And no. Look at this. I'm gonna read this real quick. And from 1918 to 1933, Germany lived through a dramatic, yet, check this out. They lived through a dramatic yet remarkable period of extreme political instability and outstanding cultural upheaval. The Weimar Republic, installed after Germany's loss in World War I, was a democratic experiment. You know where that came from? Who pushed that? Amalek. Was a democratic experiment in building a constitutional republic. So they wanted to make Germany like America. We know exactly what that means. Although flawed and unstable, the republic introduced several liberal reforms that benefited the social climate and consequently the cultural scene of the country. Today, we associate the culture of the Weimar Republic with loud nightlife, jazz, shocking art, and sexual liberties. And this is what Amalek did, man. Tell me this doesn't go on today. Loud nightlife, you got clubs, freakism, twerkism, revelry, sodomite bars. And they use jazz. I'm not going to go too deep into jazz, but a lot of those brothers that did jazz, they brought that spirit. They brought a spirit with that into Germany. Let me see if I can get that. It was a whole experiment. How do I type this in? It was like a CIA experiment. Let me see if I can find that. So now we diving into this jazz experiment. Stuff is crazy, man. Now he's saying there's no experiment. There was an experiment. I have to go back and find it. Right? I'll have to go back and find it. But they was using Jake to help push a party-like spirit out there in Germany. Now you can't find it, but I saw it, and I can't quite remember the name. Lord willing, it comes back to me. Right? Lord willing, it comes back to me. Right? But let me go back to this. So it says, damn, loud nightlife, jazz, shocking art, and sexual liberties. We know what that means. So Amalek has always been pushing sexual liberty. This started with them. Right? This started with them. You could do what thou wilt. You can do what thou wilt. That was out there in Germany. Right? Let me type this in. I'm gonna go back. I want to get the precepts, but I just want to touch on this history. Bear with me. Weimar Republic. Was prostitution legal in a Weimar Republic? They say it wasn't, was decriminalized. See that? And deregulated. Who do you think decriminalized it and deregulated it? Amalek. Right? They was able to kind of do whatever they wanted to do. Decriminalize prostitution, freakism. Right? That's all Amalek. What else? Let's see. Okay. The law for check out these demons. The law for combating, I don't want to see, they might flag the channel with this, man. You see it right here. I'm gonna say female secret part diseases or bodily disease, bodily infirmities. Okay. Effectively decriminalized female prostitution. It shifted the government's approach to healthcare and civil rights, treating, treating fornication infirmities as public health issues rather than criminal offenses. You see that? All right, you see that right there? Was Berlin really known for hedonism and crime during the 20s and 30s? Because Amalek was running everything, right? That's what they was doing, what they was doing to them in that war, right? That's what they was doing, what they was doing to them. That's when you had these doctors. Where is it at? Where are these demons at? This guy who was promoting that spirit. This guy had whole libraries. Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld is regarded as one of the most influential 20th century sexologists. And again, show me in the Bible where the Most High God said you could keep the Shabbat, keep the Passover, and be a sexologist. He was targeted by earlier fascists and later by you see it right there, the Germans, for being an Amalekite and a Sodomite. He was beaten by activists in 1920. And in 1933, his institute called Sexual Wissenschaft was looted and his books burned by Germans. He was forced into exile where he died in 1935. A good riddance, man. These are the guys that pushed that. Let's go to Revelation 11 and 8. Let's get a quick precept. These are the guys that pushed it. And we gotta call it how we see it, man. We gotta speak the truth. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. That spirit, Amalek started it. And it is what it is. I mean, you can get mad, right? You can get upset. Hey, we're gonna call it what it is. They started that stuff, man. Revelation chapter 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And that's talking about America. Our spiritually dead bodies, because we don't have the truth. Our people are lost in the world. They are completely cut off from their God. The Most High likens them unto being dead. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. That's Proverbs 21 and 16. Now, here's the word Sodom. A city destroyed by the Lord, raining fire and brimstone on it. Okay? Now, America is spiritually called Sodom, right? Because they carry that same spirit. And it's not just the fact that America is known for major freakism and sodomy. They are also being controlled by the people who enforce sodomy. So these same spirits of these guys, Magnus Hirschfeld, it's the same spirit that was in ancient Lot or ancient Sodom. The same people that was pushing that in ancient Sodom, those spirits are back as these Amalekites. Back then they were Canaanites, but now it's these Amalekites. Then you had this other guy. This guy was a complete demon. Look at this. Well, I'm going to read one more about this demon. Look at this demon. And he's supposed to be Abraham. Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld was a German physician and a researcher who was a trailblazer in studying human sexuality. Would John the Baptist do that, man? Would John the Baptist be a trailblazer in that? Would Isaiah the prophet be a King David, would they be trailblazers? No. His work was famous across the world. Hirschfeld's overlapping identities as a sodomite, social democratic, and Amalekite shaped his work for a scientific researcher and political advocate of alphabet community rights. According to Hirschfeld, human sexuality and gender existed along a spectrum of what he termed sexual intermediaries. He was also the first. See, Esau, he's always the father of something. That's how you know they're the sons of Cain, right? I'm the father of all that handle the harp and the organ, father of all that make artifice of every weapon, right? He's the father of freakism. He was also the first to assert that being a transformer is different than being a sodomite. So he was pushing that. Now, where's that in the scriptures? It didn't say he was the second. I don't say he was third. Right? I don't say that he followed this other guy's work and added to it. And a wise man, here's the word that he was first. He came in first place. So this is their mind. You got to think about what's in the mind of a demon. And we're going to keep getting on you. Why you keep talking about him? Because we can't stand Amalek. And somehow, I was talking about this earlier, some way we got to get on Amalek. I have to find a way to get on Amalek. Because they cause too much evil in the earth. So they got to get intertwined into the lesson. It's going to happen, right? Two things we're going to go into. We're going to go into watching. Somehow Amalek going to get God on at some point of a midnight Sabbath lesson. Let me read that again. He was also the first to assert that being a transformer is different from being a sodomite. He argued that because these variations were natural and inborn, society should not legally or socially discriminate against alphabet community people. Now, there's another guy, another Amalekite. His name is Charles Silverstein. Look at this guy. He's another one. Look at this guy. These are supposed to be the people of the Lord. These are the days of Lot. These are the days of Lot. Now check this guy out. Look at this demon. Hold on, let me go back to this guy. Charles Silverstein. He died this week. Is that? Okay, that's from 2023. All right, he's out of here though. Charles Silverstein died this week at the age of 87. Best known, let's see if he's best known for prophecy. Is he best known for alms? Is he best known for, going into these breakdowns? Is he best known for taking care of the fatherless and the widow? What is he best known for? Best known for making a 1973 presentation before the American Psychiatric Association. Check this out. That led to the removal of sodomy from the diagnostic and statistical manuals list of mental illnesses. Because prior to 1973, if you was a sodomite, it was a mental illness and they'll throw you in the madhouse. Everybody knew that. Everybody and their mother knew that. That's where you get that term in the COLSET from. Because they knew if they would have came out and said what they was, they would have got injected with something, thrown, strapped up with a straitjacket, and put into some mental insanity house. But Amalek said, no, we're tired of being in these madhouses. We're tired of people hiding this. We want to push that, and we want to come out. So he pushed that, man. He said, I don't think it's a mental illness. And he's also, check out the book that he wrote. He was also the co-author of the Landmarks book. Look at this. Look at this. He's supposed to be the people of the Lord. He's supposed to be the people of the Most High. I'm not even going to read that. I refuse. Well, I refuse to say that. They'll shut everything down. And he said, we don't want this to be a mental illness anymore. Let me go to Ezekiel chapter 7. Then we're going to go back to Lot. But we had to touch on that. On why, again, this is part of 2026 Days of Lot. Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse number 24. Wherefore, I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses. I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and their holy places shall be defiled. And this is what happens when the worst of all the heathen are in the land, when they call the shots. We read what they did in Germany after World War I. I'm showing you what they're doing in America. Those same spirits are back on the earth. Same spirits. Charles Silverstein and Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld are responsible, and they have spearheaded modern day freakism on the earth, and he helped get that removed. He started all of this straight up. He said this can't be a mental illness. He fought and fought and fought and fought, and he said, okay, we'll give in. Everybody can do whatever they want to do now. Guess who started? Amalek. That's what the Lord said. What? Let me get this real quick. I'm going to go back to Genesis 19. Psalms chapter 50 and verse number 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? So what are you doing with the Bible, man? What are you doing calling yourself the people of the living God? What are you doing taking on the name of Levi, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? What are you doing? Seeing thou hatest instruction and cast my words behind thee. This is stuff that they into, man. What are you doing with the Bible, man? You're not going to keep no commandments. That's what the Lord is saying. You're not going to keep any precepts. You're not going to do anything righteous. You hate instruction and you throw the words of the Most High behind your back. Let's get Isaiah 26 and 10. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 10. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. And the land of uprightness he will deal unjustly and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. So even if you showed favor to the wicked, you gave them the land. You gave them all the money ever in the world. You gave them control over every ethnic group, every race, every nationality, every people group. He's still not going to learn righteousness. He's still going to write books, write documentaries, make movies on why a man should be with a man. Even in the Holy Land, in the land of uprightness, he's going to deal unjustly. He's going to have those freakism parties, man. He's going to have these festivals. In the land of uprightness, he will deal unjustly and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. That's what God is saying in the book of Isaiah, chapter 26 and 10. Let's go to Isaiah 3 and 9. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse number 9. The show of their countenance doth witness against them. They declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. So your spirit testifies what you're into. And you can see this countenance of all these Sodomites. And they'll declare their sin as Sodom, and they won't hide it. The Most High said, woe unto their soul. Woe unto these guys, man. They even have something called check this out, advocacy of the alphabet and Amalekite inclusion. And rights have been championed by both religious institutions and individual activities. The Reform Movement, check this out. The Union of Reform Judaism, this is Amalek, has been a leading proponent of alphabet equality, passing resolutions supporting the decriminalization of sodomy in 1965 and advocating for a same man-on-man marriage. But again, these are supposed to be the chosen people. These are supposed to be the people of the Lord. These are supposed to be Enoch, Shem. These are the men that are supposed to build the ark, that split the Red Sea, that called fire down from heaven, that walked on water, that raised the dead, that healed lepers, that performed miracles, that built temples, that slew the Philistines. They have a whole union. They also got the congregation of Beit Simchat Torah. This is hypocrisy. Founded in 1973 in New York City, It is one of the world's largest alphabet synagogues. Wow. Wow, check that out. I would say unbelievable, but I won't. This is one of the world's largest freakism synagogues in New York City. You can go there and read Torah. Look at this. You can go there and read Torah. What does the Torah say? Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23. Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 17. There should be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. That's plain. That's plain. So this is Amalek, the congregation of Beat Simchat, the world's largest sodomy synagogue. Let's go back to Genesis 19. That's why these are the days of Lot. Let me go back to that verse in Luke 17. These are the days of Lot. Luke chapter 17 and 28. Again, likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. They built synagogues. They bought buildings. They planted seeds of trying to decriminalize sodomy. Because allegedly, it was a crime to be a, let's see, 1965. Yes, in 1965, being a sodomite was a criminal offense in many parts of the world, including the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Well, I guess who pushed it? Who said that it shouldn't be a crime? We just went into it. Charles Silverstein. Who said that it should be promoted? Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld. Who pushed that spirit on the earth? Amalek. Everybody at one point in time, even in America, they all had laws against it. It was arresting people, man. Beating them up and all types of stuff, man. So let's go back to this in Genesis 19. Genesis chapter 19 and verse 1 again. We're taking it back to ancient Sodom now. We showed you modern Sodom. Let's take it back to ancient Sodom. Right? Genesis chapter 19 and 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, Slakia, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. Lot didn't want them to be out there, man. He knew how evil it got. And the angel said, We're not going to your house. We're here in the mission. We're doing a recon mission. Right? We're here to scope out the scene. You know? And see if everything is as wicked as you said it is. Genesis 19 and 3. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. So unleavened bread ain't just show up in the Passover. They've been making unleavened bread. And he made a feast for the angels. That's beautiful. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. So word was getting out. From the time it was even, like the sun going down, until it was time they was about to sleep, word was spreading that two men showed up. All the young boys, all the old men, they surrounded the house. Word got out. This is wickedness. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. What does that mean they want to know them? Does that mean they want to, okay, well, what's your favorite thing in the third heaven? Okay, do you like this temple or do you like the, do you like the altar? Okay, do you prefer to kick it with Michael or Gabriel? No, they wasn't trying to know the ins and outs of the third heaven. When they said bring them out that we may know them, it means bring them out. We want to pop them. We want to have sex with the angels of God. They don't care who these men are. They don't care where they came from. They just said, where are those men at? Bring them unto us that we may know them. This is evil. These are the angels of the Most High. And Lot went out at the door to them and shut the door after him and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So you can have my daughters. Now, a lot of brothers might not agree with that. You might get emotional. Well, I wouldn't do that. Well, what would you do, brother? You have 2 angels of Yahweh under your roof. You going to give up the angels over your daughters? You going to give up the angels unto the men? A lot of you brothers, you would have made a bad decision. You would have gave up the angels. The angels of God. Now, Lot made a wise decision. Now, remember, even in the ancient world, hospitality was a huge deal. Not like now. It was a major, major deal in the ancient world where your guests were essentially held, that they were honored. I'll put it like that. And they were very well respected. You have to protect them with your life. Right? Let me see if I can get that. I didn't plan on going too deep into that. Let's see. Let's see, Israelite hospitality. Right? Ancient Amalekite, well, this says Amalekite, but we're really talking about the Israelites. Was a sacred, religiously binding duty. Okay? A sacred, religiously binding duty. Let's see if I could type this in. Was hospitality big in the Bible? Okay, it says, yes, hospitality was a foundational virtue in the Bible. Rooted in the literal Greek translation of the word philoxenia, which means loving strangers. In the ancient Middle East, it was not merely a polite custom, but a strict cultural and religious necessity for survival in a nomadic society with a few ends. So it's a big deal. It's a huge deal to protect your guests. So he gave up his daughters. He said, you're not dealing with the angels of God. Why would you give up the angels of the living God? So he had to make a decision. Now, the Bible actually calls Lot a just man, right? In 2 Peter 2. Because you still got brothers that disagree because you might get emotional. You have to have an ancient mind. Remember how hospitality was regarded. You got to stop thinking like a black Negro man in America and put on your Eastern Semitic cap and understand how life was and how you had to make decisions back then. 2 Peter chapter 2 and 7. And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. So Lot was just. For that righteous man dwelling among them, and seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. So the Most High called him righteous. You can say what you want to say. I'm going to say what the Lord said. The Lord called him righteous, and he's righteous. Okay? Genesis chapter 19 and 9. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. This is madness. They say, we don't want to hear you, man. You just a stranger. Matter of fact, for talking, after we do you know what to these angels, we're going to take it out harder on you. It's wickedness. We're going to deal worse with you. Then they start trying to get to the door. You know, trying to break the door down. So there was a lot of demons. It was a lot of satanic work going on, man. Can you imagine? Think about the city you in. You got two guests came in. Imagine your entire city of all men surrounding your house, and they try to siege and break in your house just so they could deal with the two men. Let's read on. Genesis 19 and 10. But the men put forth their hand and poured Lot into the house to them and to shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. So they blind and they lust. They're so inflamed with nasty, evil lust. They didn't say, I'm running home. They didn't run home blind, eyes closed, eyes open. I got to go home. I got to figure this thing out. Let me get some eye salve. Let me repent. Let me lay down. I'm bugging out. I'm being a demon. They said, no, hell no. Where's, you know? Now they tapped into the other senses. Now they smelling, they sniffing, they listening. They got men putting their ears on the streets, man. You got people groping. Where's the door? They tripping over each other. They picking each other up, you know? This was madness. Pure chaos. They still trying to get there. Genesis chapter 19 and 12. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. So he said, look, you got time to warn people about the destruction. Remember, there's no new thing under the sun. And this is us. We represent Lot in these days. There are angels recording now even what goes on in modern day Sodom. Remember, we read in Revelation chapter 11 and 8 that this place is spiritually called Sodom. You don't think that there are angels that are out recording all of the sins and all of the cries in modern day Sodom? There's no new thing under the sun. Right? Let me get that in Revelation, the 18th chapter. Right? Let's get that in Revelation chapter 18 about the cries are going up unto heaven and the sins. Revelation chapter 18 and 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. That's the same thing. All of the sins of Sodom have reached unto heaven, and the Most High remembered her sins And the Most High he's going to send angels in Yahweh to destroy this place. Sodom's sins reached unto heaven. America's sins have reached unto heaven. There are angels in America. We got angels about us. There are angels that document all of the evil going on in this place. Let me get that in Proverbs 15. You might have encountered these angels before. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 3. The eyes of Yahweh, Ba'ashmi Abishai, are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. They're in your house, they're in that land, they're in that apartment complex, they're in Babylon the Great, they're in China. The eyes of the Lord, which are the angels, they're everywhere, beholding the evil and the good. Just like ancient Sodom, just like modern Sodom. Both of the cries reach unto heaven, and the Most High is going to bring destruction. Genesis 19 and 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And that sounds familiar. This is us in the last days. The Most High revealed unto us by the Spirit, by the angels, that works in our mind. He tells us that he's going to destroy this place. He tells us to warn the people. You go out and you warn the people, and they don't listen. You tell them the Most High is about to destroy this place. So Lot prophesied. Now the Most High said a prophet is not without honor. And they didn't honor Lot, man. You know, let me get that in Luke, the 4th chapter. This is Luke chapter 4. And I want verse, let's see, 24. Luke chapter 4 and verse 24. And he said, Verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. So Lot wasn't accepted, man. He told him, destruction going to happen. This place about to be destroyed. Y'all need to come with me. Hey, we got to go. Nah, I ain't going with you, man. You tell people now, man, America's going to be destroyed. The chariots coming. This place ain't never going down. My grandmother been saying that. Her mother been saying that. You know what you call those people? Scoffers. Let's get that in 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse number 3. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. So Lot had to deal with scoffers, as he told them about the dangers, the fire, the destruction, the evil that was going to befall them. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law, right? And that's what the prophets and the apostles and the men of the Lord go through even today, even in the last days. Genesis chapter 19 and 15. Let's read on. So his sons mocked him. And when the morning arose, the angels hasted Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest they be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the man laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. And the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. So he was lingering, right? In the flesh, man. Stalling. The Lord said you got to make haste to get out of this place, man. You can't linger coming out of Babylon the Great. You can't linger coming out of Christianity. You can't linger putting the blunt down. You can't linger overcoming whatever evil or demon that you're dealing with. you have to make haste. Time is running out. And the Lord was merciful to Lot. All praises to the Most High. But we don't want to just bank on the Most High, just, okay, well, the Most High is going to do that for me too. We don't know what the Most High is going to do for us. So we can't linger as we are looking to come out of Babylon the Great. Right? Even back in Revelation 18:4, the Lord said, come out of for my people. You can't linger. I know brothers that said, I got one more wicked day I'm going to do. I'm going to be wicked for a little bit more longer. They look at give me 3 more days. Don't the scripture say, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord? Let me get that real quick. And put not off from day to day. Sirach 5 and 7. The Lord speaks about that. Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. Right? So make haste to put away your sin and get right. So the Lord had mercy unto Lot, right? And essentially almost damn near teleported him, and they just brought him out of the city. Genesis 19 and 17. Chapter 19 and verse 17. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. You got to escape for your life. These demons are looking to kill you, man. Don't look back. Don't stay in the plain. Don't stay close. Don't go far away. That's what the Lord is saying. Go far away. You was in a plain before, you ended up in Sodom. Don't look behind you, ain't nothing there. And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my Lord. See that? He had a lot he got to say. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold now, this city is near unto me. It's like it. This city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. So even Lot's sons that were married to his daughter, they got destroyed. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And again, she was looking back on that wealth, looking back on them riches, looking back on all of the oxen, the cattle, the gold, the silver. Don't look back, man. People are looking back at the world, looking back at the family, your yearbook and your old trophy case and your old contacts. You plugging up your old phone, looking at your old pictures and all this old. You're going to become a pillar of salt. You're going to be destroyed. You will die. Let's get one quick precept on looking back. St. Luke chapter 9 and verse 62. And Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God. And that's a damn shame, man. You have brothers, they put their hand to the plow, they start this work, They get their Bible, get their Apocrypha, get their fringes, watch the videos, learn some precepts, get really into this thing for months, sometimes years. And they start to look back and miss their old life, which was no life. Start daydreaming and fantasizing about the life you used to have, and you miss out on your fame, the notoriety and the women you had, the cars you had, the clothes you had, the money you was getting, your Saturday nights, your Friday nights, old freak offs and creepiness. You're not qualified for the kingdom because your mind not right. Your mind is not right. You have Lot's wife, a Lot's wife mindset. Do not look back. Let's go to Luke 17. Actually, you know what? Let me get this real quick in Hebrews 10. Ain't nothing to look back to, man. Really, what the hell did you have, man? Weigh it in the balance and ask yourself, is it worth more than the kingdom of heaven? Is it worth more than eternal life? Is it worth more than Yahushua putting a crown on your head, saying, well done, thou good and faithful servant? Is it worth more than what Yahweh has in store for you? And if you take more than a second to think about it, your mind not right. You have brothers saying, well, I don't know, I got to think about it. Well, if you got to think about it, bro, okay, well, just keep thinking about it until the chariots come. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse number 35. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. Do not cast away your faith. Okay, these are the days to pray for more faith. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise. So we have to learn how to suffer in order to receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul. We're not like the people going back in the world. I don't want to see anybody on this live talking about I used to be a Hebrew Israelite. I used to be a black Hebrew Israelite. I don't want to see anybody on this live sitting down with Vocab Malone, sitting down with the enemy, doing an interview, a podcast. My life as a former Israelite. They taught me just to hate people. They controlled me. There was no love there. There was no brotherhood there. They're racist. They're mean. You're drawn. Those individuals back in the world, they went back to destruction. We're not like them. We're thinking about the kingdom of heaven. I'm thinking about the chariots. I'm thinking about getting beamed up. I'm thinking about my people being saved. I'm thinking about this place being destroyed with fire and brimstone. We ain't come this far just to throw in the towel, man. Let's go to Luke 17. You got men giving up, man, in the last days. Here it is. 2 seconds left on the clock, and you giving up. I'm tired. I don't know if I can do this anymore. This is too much. And what about, and if, and I don't want to hear that, man. Gird up your loins like a man and finish this race. We all running this race, man. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult. It's the straight and narrow. Many are called, few are going to be chosen. Again, Luke chapter 17 and 27. Or Luke 17 and 28. Luke 17 and 28. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold. It's like if they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. And that day, he which is upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down and take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. And there's another thing that Yahweh Shai, another prophecy that he's speaking on right here as well. Right? Let me get this other precept that links directly up with that. Right? If you have your stuff on the housetop, don't return to take it. You're in the field, don't go back. Here's what else Yahweh Shai is speaking about. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. So this is another abomination of desolation that's coming. You had the first one that came by the Greeks, Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth. You had another one that came by the Roman Empire. But this one is a time that's going to be like no other time. Right? The Lord speaks about that. Such as was not since there was a nation. So this is the modern day Roman Empire, the modern day military of the so-called white man coming against the temple and the priest in these last days, which represents the elect, which represents the people of the living God, the Yahweh. They're going to come after us. When you see these military tanks, when you see the military vehicles, when you see martial law, when you see the saints being persecuted, Yahweh Bashmiamashad said it's time to flee for places of refuge and secure or succor. That's what he said. Same thing that was done in time past. Brothers are going to be pilgrims on the earth. They're going to be on the go. That's what he's telling you in verse 16. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. So you're going to be fleeing. Let them, it's like you let him, which is on the housetop, not come down to take anything out of his house. We just read that in Luke. Let me go back to that real quick. Luke 17 and 31. And that day he which shall be upon a housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Same thing in Matthew 24. Only thing in Matthew 24, Yahweh Shah is going into the time of Jacob's trouble. The third abomination of desolation. Martial law, all hell breaking loose, being thrown in FEMA camps, etc. Same thing. Matthew 24 and 18. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. So all hell might break loose. You're not going to be able to have time to, okay, let me get my family heirlooms. Let me get grandma's pearls. Let me get Uncle Earl's ashes off the mantle. And okay, well, let me get my family yearbook and let me get my first Bible. No, you got to be on a go when they coming after us. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on a Sabbath day. So we're going to have a flight. We're going to get put to flight. We're just praying that it's in favorable conditions. You know, you're praying that your children don't become a burden to you, right? You're praying that they don't overthrow you. You're praying that things fare well for you, that the Most High is with you in those days. For then shall be, Matthew 24 and 21. Here's the point. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So this abomination of desolation is going to be like no other abomination that make it desolate. Worse than the Roman Empire of 70 AD, worse than the Greek Empire and the siege of the temple and the time of the Hasmonean dynasty. It's going to be worse than all of that. Only thing that you have to listen to is these precepts. And here's what Yahweh Shah said when that time happens. Luke 17 and 32. Remember Lot's wife. So in these days and every day, and how much more the days of the Lord, remember Lot's wife. Don't look back. You have to lose everything, right? You have to leave it all, your reputation, your riches, your fame, your job, your clothes, your money, your sense of security, your sense of comfortability. Learn how to be uncomfortable. Get used to being uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Learn how to suffer. Learn how to be without. But don't look back to what you had. Don't be like our fathers in Egypt who said, oh, we missed the leeks and the garlic and the melon and the fish. With the God that we would have died in Egypt. Wish I could go back. No, we're not looking back like our fathers. And they died in the wilderness because they looked back. Luke 17:33. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. So if you try to hold on to your fame, your reputation, your notoriety, you will be put to death. If you leave all this behind, there's nothing anyway. You leave it all behind, the Most High is going to save you. You can't let nobody stop you, man. Lot didn't look back because his wife looked back. He had those blinders on. You got to work out your own salvation. Just because somebody's looking back and they're going back in the world doesn't mean that you do the same thing. Doesn't matter if that's your wife, your best friend, your brother you've been knowing forever. And you got to keep it moving, man. You got to obey the Most High. And you can't get emotional. Lot could have got emotional. Where's my no? He followed the Most High. Even his daughters didn't look back. They did other things later that you'll read about, but at that time, they didn't look back. Luke 17 and verse number 34. I tell you, and that night there shall be two men in one bed, the one shall be taken, the other shall be left. Two women shall be grinding together, the one shall be taken and the other left. Two men shall be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left, meaning taken as in put to death. They will get put to death. And again, the same way the Most High overthrew ancient Sodom, he's going to overthrow modern day Sodom. Genesis, Slakia, Isaiah chapter 13 and verse number 19. That's what's going to happen, man, for all these Sodomites, man, all these Edomites and these people that want to be able to promote freakism and madness and evil in the earth, man, and confusion, and have these festivals and freak off and do as thou wilt. There's going to be heavy judgment. And again, they threw this 2 weeks ago. They threw this event near Sodom and Gomorrah. So you can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13 and verse 19. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. How did the Lord overthrow Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone. How is the Most High going to overthrow America? With fire and brimstone. By the chariots. That's how the Lord is going to rain fire and brimstone. Let's get that real quick. Let's get Revelation chapter 14. This is Revelation chapter 14 and verse number 10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture, into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So same fire and brimstone, which is really going into the chariots and the destruction that comes with it. That's why it's raining fire and brimstone, because this is fire coming from the third heaven. And we know the Most High sending the chariots over America to destroy it. That's how Sodom and Gomorrah is destroyed. That's how America is going to be taken out. Isaiah 13 and 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the wild beast of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. So America's going to be on fire, and after a while, that fire is going to go out. After that fire goes out and the smoke clears, the Most High is going to have a massive immigration of wild beasts, wild owls, vultures, buzzards, lizards, ravenous creatures, crows, and they're going to be stationed here in America. This is going to be their new headquarters. It's going to be a desert land full of all types of desert predator creatures. And they're going to take over the land of Babylon the Great. Man is not going to be able to be here anymore. Nobody will ever, ever, ever set foot in Babylon the Great and or do business and or exalt this place is over with. Isaiah 13 and 22. Just like now, nobody lives in ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. It's over with. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry at their desolate houses, and dragons in their desolate palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. That's beautiful. Her time is near to come. Remember the days of Lot. Her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Keep crying out to the Most High. Keep throwing up those curses against Babylon the Great, against modern day Sodom. Keep being just, being righteous. See, one thing that we did read, or that we didn't read, Salakia, was 2 Peter 2 and 9. We read how the Most High said that Lot was righteous. He was just. But there's another thing that we have to read right here. 2 Peter chapter 2 and 9. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. See, and we would represent the godly, and the Most High knows how to deliver us from these temptations, whether it's from women, from money, from the flesh, from your own thoughts, from depression, from doubt, from rage to demons, drunkenness. He knows how to deliver you. So keep praying to the Most High. He's not going to forsake you. Have faith in Yahweh Bashmel Shah. The Lord said, I have been old, or I've been young, and now I'm old. Yet have I never seen a righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Okay, let's go back to this. Right, we're reading about her time is near to come. Her days shall not be prolonged. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 50th chapter. Right? This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse number 39. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and there shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. So Jeremiah and Isaiah, they saw the same vision of the destruction of Babylon, and they wrote it in two different ways. Jeremiah 50 and 41. Now, but Jeremiah goes a little bit more specific. Same thing Isaiah did, right? When you read Isaiah, the 13th chapter, he reads about stirring up the kings of the Medes, which are the Russians. Same thing in Jeremiah 50 and 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. That's your collective security treaty organization, your Shanghai Corporation organization, Russia, China, its allies. They shall hold the bow and the lance, meaning they're going to have a nuclear arsenal. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. So that's it, man. The Most High is going to stir up these other powers to shoot their lances or to use their lances, use their arrows, aiming right at Babylon the Great and wipe out modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? Straight up, man. And rightfully so. Sick of this damn place, man. Right? I seen a dude at camp, man, look dressed like a woman, man. Had a whole lace front or a wig, shirt all out, man. And these sodomites are proud, man. They always got something they want to say. And you got to accept them. You got to accept all of the stuff. This place has to go. It has to go. Isaiah chapter 34 and verse number 8. You know what? I'm going to read this and I'm going to jump down. Isaiah 34 and 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and the people of my curse to judgment. So the Most High has judgment reserved to the so-called white man. That's who Idumea is. Another word for Idumea are the Edomites. These are the people of God's curse. They are people, or they are a people that's created for destruction, reserved for destruction, reserved for the day of evil. There's nothing that anybody can do to change that. Isaiah 34 and 6. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And remember, Yahushua is a high priest. As a high priest, his final sacrifice as a priest is going to be in Babylon the Great. Not in the holy place, not in the most holy place. His final sacrifice is going to be in Basra, which is a metaphor for America. See, Basra was the chief city in the ancient land of Idumea. Let's pull up Basra Bible map. Okay. It was a chief city in the land of Edom. What's the chief city now amongst the Edomites? America, Babylon the Great. So the Lord had the great sacrifice in Basra. It was the capital of the Edomites. See if they actually get that. We go into that in the blue letter, right? Let's see if we can get that. Basra says sheepfold or fortress, a town in Edom. Let's see. Was Basra the capital of Edom? Yes. Basra was the capital of the ancient kingdom of Edom. So think about Edom as the beast, predominantly, right? As NATO in the EU. Now you got Australia, all these other places, but think about it as the beast. Now to all of the Edomite lands, who's the capital? The word capital goes back to the Latin word caput, which means head. So who's calling the shots? Who's the head Edomite country on the earth? Babylon the Great. Okay. So when the Lord says he has a sacrifice in the land of Idumea in Basra, he's really speaking about the destruction of America. So as a priest, his final sacrifice is going to be in Babylon the Great. And instead of turtle doves and ewe lambs, it's going to be the people. The people are the goats. The people are the rams. The people are the lambs. The fire is not from the brazen altar. The fire is from Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. And the altar are the boundaries of this society. This is the final sacrifice for the high priest after the order of Melchizedek. Isaiah chapter 34 and 7. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation, it shall lie waste. None that pass through it, none shall pass through it, Salakia, forever and ever. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also, and the raven shall dwell in it. And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there. And all her princes shall be nothing. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof. And it shall be a habitation of dragons and a court for owls. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay, and hatch, and gather under her shadow. There the vultures also be gathered. It's like it. There shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. So Jeremiah 50, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 34, they're all talking about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, aka Babylon the Great. It's going to be destroyed by fire and brimstone, and then inhabited by wild owls, beasts, lizards, Komodo dragons, buzzards, great owls. Verse number 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate, for my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit hath gathered them, and he has cast a lot for them. And his hand hath divided unto them by line. So every creature is going to have a portion of this land. Right? See, in the ancient world, they cast lots for the land of Israel. And it was divided by line. The tribe of Judah had this land according to the lot. Issachar had this land according to the lot. Right? Let me get that in Joshua real quick. I believe that's Joshua 18, if I'm not mistaken. Joshua 18 and 6. Ye shall therefore describe the land into 7 parts, and bring the description hither to me, that I may cast lots for you before the Lord our God. Right? So Joshua cast lots and divided the land by line unto each of the tribes, that they may possess it forever. What the Most High is saying in a different way, as he cast lots for the raven, for the owl, for the screech owl, for the satyr, for this lizard, for that beast, for that creature, he divided up the whole Babylon the Great by line. Everybody's going to have a different portion. Let's see if I can get that in another translation. Isaiah 34 and 17. Let's see if in the NLT. Right? Let's see. See that? He has surveyed and divided the land and deeded it over to those creatures. They will possess it forever, from generation to generation. So instead of the Lord saying, okay, white man, you get Babylon the Great, the ultimate lot of this land belongs to these creatures. See, the Lord, at one time, nobody inhabited this land. The Lord said this was Asherah, where never mankind dwelt. Then he gave it to Gad and Reuben and the rest of the tribes, the northern kingdom. Then he gave this land and he divided it by lot to Esau. Right? Then he divided the land by lot and gave it to these creatures. And nobody's going to take it from them, right? Nobody's going to take it from them, right? Again, he has surveyed and divided the land and deeded it over to those creatures. They will possess it forever from generation to generation. That's Isaiah 34:16, right? Let's read this again. Isaiah 34:17. In the KJV, he hath cast a lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever. From generation to generation shall they dwell therein. Let's go back to Luke 17. All right, let's read this one more time. Luke chapter 17 and verse number 32. Remember Lot's wife. These are the days of Lot. These are the days of impending destruction, war, famine. You got an earthquake that killed 900 people. And this number is going up day by day. This number is going up. Hour by hour, this number is going up. This is not the last earthquake. You're going to have more fire and blood and brimstone and war and violence and evil on the earth. No brother should ever be looking back. If that demon try to hop on you and make you reminisce about the flesh and things of the world that are wicked and off, rebuke that spirit and don't wait to do it. Call upon the Most High to take that demon away from you. See, the Most High said in Isaiah 26 and verse number 3, it reads, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee." See, the Lord is going to have protection for you, deliver you, be favorable to you, have good success for you if your mind is stayed on him. If your mind is stayed on Yahweh Ba'ashmi Shai, you're going to speak about Yahweh Ba'ashmi Shai. If you speak about him, you're going to do the works that Yahweh Shai requires of you until the day of the Lord. But do not look back. There's nothing to look back to but death and confusion. See, our forefather, one of the apostles, said it best in St. John chapter 6 and 66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. This after Yahweh Shai intentionally confounded them, right? So the 12 could remain. And as everybody left, as he spoke about eating his flesh and drinking his blood, the 12, they stayed. Okay? Yahweh Shai had a question for the 12. This question applies to us. John 6 and 67. Then said Yahweh Shai to the 12, will ye also go away? You have to ask yourself, are you going to go away because everybody else left? This is the time where many disciples are going back and they're not walking with the Lord anymore. Going back to being a Christian, going back to being a Muslim, going back to being an Egyptologist, going back into the world, making videos on why they used to be a Hebrew Israelite, why they used to be a black Hebrew Israelite. Will you also go away like the wicked and go back to destruction with all hell breaking loose? 2 seconds left on the clock. Will you also go away? All that the Lord has done for you, all of the miracles the Most High showed you, all of the blessings the Heavenly Father gave you, this wisdom, this knowledge, this understanding, this truth, this Bible, all of the times the Most High made a way for you, all of the times you thought that you didn't have it, and the Most High opened up and split the Red Sea, all of the times that Yahweh Shai visited you in dreams and gave you visions and gave you a brotherhood and gave you a sisterhood and gave you teachers and gave you your fringes and gave you the commandments and gave you the law and sacrificed his life and gave you the breakdowns and gave you the precepts, will they also go away like everybody else? What did Peter say? Then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. And we believe and are sure that thou art the Hamashiach, the Son of the living God. Peter said, ain't nowhere to go, man. You have the words of eternal life. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Wamalak Yabashai. Keep the Sabbath day holy. No buying, no selling, no cooking, no work, no folly, no sex on the Sabbath, no speaking your own words, doing your own pleasure. Keep this day holy. It is a sanctified day. Pray, read. It's a holy convocation. Brothers should be doing the work of the Most High, meditating in the work of the Most High, and talking of the works of Yahweh Ba'ashmi Shai. Do not look back. There's nothing there. Yahweh Shai asked every single one of us, will we also go away? Peter said, where are we going to go? We know that you the truth, and you have the words of eternal life. Most High willing, you are edified. Kwam Yashala. Shalom.